Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Mr. BuildWealth back at it again. If this is your first time joining me here on Mr. BuildWealth TV, I'm here to share information and resources that can help you get started with building wealth. And the topic for this session is how will you become wealthy? But before I begin, I want to make sure that I punch in my website. So in case you are trying to get connected or have questions or just want to learn a little bit more about what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and if you kind of need that resource, then of course would love for you to connect with me and see what might be possible. So again, the topic is how will you become wealthy? And I wanted to come on and talk about this topic specifically because when I speak to like family and friends around like their job situation, most people, like, I think we're happy enough, but like we keep a job because we got bills. Like, I think if most people had the FU money, and that's the money in your bank that you could just like quit your job and not worry about paying your bills. Like, I think if more of us had that, I think we'll walk away from a lot of our jobs. But again, we have obligations, we have mortgages, retirements to fund, children to feed. I get it. So a lot of us aren't happy because we have to work jobs because we need the money. And when you think about wealthy families, sometimes maybe you don't have to keep like a really high stressful job if you don't want to, or you can just walk out knowing that you have some money or some assets that can help support you. And that just gives you that, freedom that everybody talks about. Because when you say, what does wealth mean to you? Most people say freedom. And it's like, okay, that's the easy one, but like, freedom to do what? Because again, if you had your entire day to yourself, like, do you even know what you would do with it? Like, I certainly know what I would love to do. But again, have you thought about that? Like, how will you become wealthy? And in working a job, it's just not going to get it done. And if you don't know, job stands for just over broke. J-O-B, just over broke is what job stands for. And again, we make just enough money to pay our bills, put a little bit of money into our retirement account through the job. Maybe we, have a mortgage to pay for. Maybe we can cover our bills. Maybe we can take a vacation. Maybe we can save for college. Maybe we can invest outside of our retirement accounts. Maybe we have enough money to buy some additional insurance, be it life insurance or disability or long-term care or whatever it is. But again, the job ain't going to get you there. The wealthiest people in this world are entrepreneurs. Now, I'm not saying you need to go ahead and start a business today or tomorrow, but it's the mindset is what I'm really speaking about. And that's how a lot of people become wealthy. Because if you, let's say, need to keep that job for security purposes, or maybe you just love what you do and you don't want to quit your job, and that's totally fine. But maybe during your nights and weekends, you become an investor in something. Maybe it's, flipping properties. Maybe it's becoming like, I don't know, you're a secret trader on the low. Like maybe you're dabbling in something else that can help you to amass a ton of money. There's a lot of investments that, pay dividends. So maybe you have just like a great passive income strategy of some sort. And so I want to challenge a lot of people to think about, how are you going to become wealthy? Because I'm not just trying to get rich. Like, wealth is definitely different in my eyes. Like, wealth is different from being rich. Like, I think people who get a bonus check, like that might make you rich. But do you know what to do with that bonus check? Right? I think people who win the lottery, they get rich. But now if they can sustain that money for a couple of generations, then that's wealth in my book. So how will you become wealthy? What will you do that's different? If you have an idea, try it out. See if somebody will pay you for that idea. Or your skill set. Maybe you can team up with some people. There's always some company who is in that kind of startup arena, who is always looking for a skill set. Maybe you get in on the ground floor of some startup, and when that happens, then you could get some stock options. Like, these companies that go public, think about the people who are like employee number 1 and 2 and 10 and 25 and 35. Like, these people came in, I'm not going to say they didn't think the company was going to make it, but there's a huge chance that it won't. There's no guarantee that the company's even going to go public. Like, some companies just stay private. But imagine you are that company, or at that company who goes public some years later. I mean, you're handsomely rewarded for the work that you've put in. And maybe that helps you to create some wealth for yourself, is that you work with the startup venture, and you don't have to be a tech person. Like, any business needs a variety of experts. Every company needs salespeople. That's hands down. Every company needs them. So maybe you're not a salesperson, but people need people. So maybe you are a people person. Maybe you need to be the HR person. Maybe you need to be the accountant. Maybe you are a marketing expert. So a lot of people have built some substantial wealth because they've worked for companies, and the companies go public, and then you have all these options, these stocks. And so you see a lot of people who have gone into that kind of VC space. A lot of them started out at these tech companies when nobody was talking about them, and then they stuck it out, went public, and a lot of them cashed out and have moved on since. And so now they're doing other things to create wealth for their future generations. But again, they were willing to do something that a lot of people aren't willing to do. And so if you're sitting around trying to think to yourself, like, why your family wasn't wealthy or isn't wealthy, and maybe you have aspirations to become wealthy, then you got to start thinking about, like, what am I going to do? We all have the same amount of time on this, like, during the day, 24 hours. So how many hours can you work out of that 24? Everybody's a little different. Out of that week, how many hours do we have in a week? The same amount. So you mean to tell me that somebody else is doing it, showing you, like, they're giving you the blueprint, the cheat code. So for you to say it's not possible, then I can't agree with you there. It's very possible. And a lot of people are building substantial empires, and they're not always the famous people that you keep seeing. It's just like the millionaire next door type of person, where you just know they have a business, but you never know what type of business they're into. You may know somebody who works hard and has a very fancy title, but maybe they've been investing since they first started their first job when they were in their 20s. So now that they're in their 40s and they've been in the stock market for 20 years, they probably got some good money. So how will you become wealthy? If that's even on your agenda. Maybe you just want to kind of be mediocre. But when I talk to people, that's not what I hear. I hear I want to do more, I want to do better, but what risk? And this is a risk. What risk are you willing to take? Yes, there are going to be some calculated risks you should think about, but they always say, high risk, high reward. That's the key. And that doesn't just apply to money. That's your life. Like, if you're in a career or position right now, you feel like your company doesn't value you and you're not getting paid what you deserve. Well, yeah, your company knows they're in charge. Like, you're not in the driver's seat when it comes to your wealth journey, because somebody else is dictating that success. And so maybe you think about alternatives. So I want to challenge people to really start thinking about, are you really trying to be wealthy? And if not, that's okay. Because those are the people I want to talk to and work with, are the people who want to do something different. Because the data continues to show me that the wealth gap continues to widen. And there's a very specific reason as to why that is. Because the people who are wealthy have a plan. That's the secret sauce. They just got a plan. Your plan is going to be different from my plan. That's going to be different from your friend's plan. That's different from your family's plan. But maybe your family's included in some of your planning, of course. But what's your plan? How are you going to become wealthy? So if you're on the sidelines and you can't really figure it out, like, that's why I'm here. Mr. BuildWealth wants to help you. I want to help you to figure out how you're going to become wealthy. Pretty good at getting people started with it, and then checking in on you to make sure you're adhering to what we just discussed. Like, I'm really good at holding you accountable, because if you fail, it's your fault. And I tell people that, like, I'm going to do all that I can to share my information and expertise with you that will ensure that you can create some wealth during this lifetime. And if you care to leave a legacy and, to help out your family, you can do that. It's not that hard, but we continue to think that becoming wealthy is a really daunting task. And I don't think it is. You just got to have a really good plan. And as life changes, so should your plan. And you just got to keep making those updates. And whatever it is that you're struggling with, find an expert to help you. And don't be afraid. You're going to have some vulnerable moments on this journey to financial independence. You're going to have to be vulnerable at some point. It's not a person in this world who has figured it all out on their own. So I suggest you don't do that either if you desire to become wealthy. So if you need me, The website, hit me up, thebuildwealthmovement.com. If you're just stuck, can't figure it out, holler at me. Let's schedule a 15-minute call. Let's just chop it up. 15 minutes. I don't need to be on the phone with you all day. It doesn't take me long to figure this out. Like, most people are not achieving their financial goals and dreams is simply because they have no game plan. They have zero game plan. They are just winging it. And winging it ain't going to get it done. The hope, wish, and prayer model is not very useful if you're not putting in any action, if you're not executing. That's where a lot of people are falling short, but I'm really, really good at helping people figure out this game plan. So if you need me, holler at me. I'm going to keep coming on here and trying to encourage you to do a little bit more, to do something different, because you can do it. And I see greatness in all of us. It's just a lot of us are just not willing to take that step, or maybe we're just too afraid, or we're embarrassed. And once we can get past some of these small roadblocks, so they're very small and minor in comparison to what I know people are capable of doing, then you're just going to continue to live in your mess. So if I can be of service, hit me up. All right, everybody. I'll catch you next time.